Hey everyone, Scott here, better known as Narebo, I guess. I guess it just depends on what day it is. And today I am doing a LATAM 7879 illustration. And this one's going to be a little bit different from my other ones, whereas I'm going to show you the entire process. As you can see here, I'm starting with the logo, and then I'm going to move on to the actual livery on the aircraft itself. And then I'm going to do the background illustration that I do for my renderings that I post over to my Instagram page. And yeah, so as you can see, I'm just going through the logo first thing. I mean, that's going to be the biggest portion of the rendering here because it's, it's a very simple livery. There's really not a lot to it. And I couldn't find a vector version on the internet anywhere. And I thought, it's better just to create one myself. So I just found the highest resolution logo that I could. And then I'm here in Adobe Illustrator and I'm tracing it. And again, just like I mentioned in my Ryanair 737-800 livery video that I posted last week, it's always better to create your own graphics. Even if there's stuff on Google that you can find that you can use, don't copy. Don't steal someone else's work. Do it all yourself. It'll make you a better illustrator, a better designer. It'll make you appreciate the illustrations that you create so much more. Just because you did it. You did everything. And even if it's complicated, in the case of this LATAM logo, actually, it looked kind of simple, but as you can see, there's just so many overlapping shapes. They are basic shapes, but they overlap, and it's kind of like solving a puzzle. And I was really frustrated as I was creating it here, but after I got done, I thought, you know what, that's kind of cool. I'm glad I did that. Now I've got a vector version. I can use it for whatever. It's going to make my livery illustration look great. And so what, it was it was worth the headache, I guess. So, yep, as you can see, just trying to get it as realistic and as accurate as possible. I'm not a master in Adobe Illustrator. I'm good enough to get around. I'm good enough to do what I need to do usually. I couldn't do anything really complex, I think, because when it comes to gradients and really, really complex shapes, that's where I get tripped up a little bit. But Adobe Illustrator is great. I've been using it for well over 15 years now, and it's just something you sort of grow into. The more projects you work on, the more things you do, you'll grow into it, and it's definitely something you need to have in your arsenal. And I should say too, it's like you don't have to have Adobe Illustrator. There are so many good other vector illustration programs out there now. You can just use whatever you're comfortable with. And once you do get comfortable with it, you're going to be much faster and you're going to just crank through these things. So it looks like I've got the logo built and I am ready to move on to the illustration itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm using the templates that I created. You can get these templates over on narebo.com. And a link in the description below, of course, as always. And I'm back in Adobe Illustrator now. And I'm tracing over an image that I found on airliners.net. It was just the best side profile photo that I could find. And, it wasn't a perfect 100% side-on view like my templates are, but it was close enough. And as you'll see, I just used that photo to trace just to give myself a baseline of what the logo is and the shapes and the proportions of the flag and the zigzag shape. And then once I place it onto the template itself, just to get the sizing correct, I have to make some adjustments. It's not going to match perfectly. And again, if you've been watching a lot of my other videos and my other demos, you'll know that you just kind of have to wing it sometimes. No pun intended. It's all smoke and mirrors. Nothing is never 100% perfect, and you just got to, move things around a little bit just to get it so it looks good. So now looks like I'm bouncing back and forth between Photoshop and Illustrator. So once I draw the shapes in Illustrator, I'm back in Photoshop now. I just pasted those vector shapes in, and I'm using them as a mask, essentially. I'm not going to use these shapes as part of the final illustration. What I'm doing is I'm just getting them into position enough so that I can just trace over them with color, or with the proper colors, the purple and the pink and whatever. And again, it's just a lot of fine tuning and tweaking, scaling things. Looks like I'm gonna do some trimming here. Yep, just to get that right. And again, it's just not gonna match the photo, so it's impossible to do that, and you just got to get it as close as you can. And can I just say that this livery is one of the best out there? This is just, it's an amazing livery. I love it. It's so simple. And I kind of wish this is what the American airline livery would have been. It's kind of along those same lines with the flag, or the stylized flag in the tail and then big titles on the front. But I think the LATAM livery is so much cleaner, much classier, just my opinion anyway. And getting the proper colors in there. And again, I'm just using the photos off, or the colors off the photo above, which maybe isn't the right thing to do. What I should do is I should try to find the official LATAM logo. Either I can get it from their website or something like a press release, and then just sample the colors off those. But I'm using the reference photo above as my color guide. I guess that's what you'll call it, which isn't always the best idea, but it's a fairly well lit photo, and it works in this case. So yeah, just trying to get things positioned right. And again, it's so nice doing that logo in vector format, because I could place it and scale it however I want, and it works really well. Just working on some details now, just adding some color to the door outlines, which you can very easily do in my templates. Everything is on a separate layer. You can push things around wherever you want, and yeah. So I am stealing elements from past illustrations that I've done, something that you've seen me do in many of my demo videos so far. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no need to reinvent the wheel if you've done enough of these. It's a huge time saver, rather than trying to do the same things over and over and over again. I think I've done maybe 200 to 300 of these livery illustrations by now. I've been doing them since 2012, so I've got a lot of graphics that I can reuse. And there, what you saw is I did the Boeing titles. I have the Boeing font installed on my system, and you can get that for free. Just Google Boeing font, and it's out there, and it won't be hard to find. And just details like that is what's going to make these illustrations pop. So it looks like I've got it, and yeah, that looks great. I love that livery. So yeah, but we're not done yet. We are going to move on to the background, and this is something that I haven't shown in any of my videos yet. And I'll be honest with you, it's it's a mess. I don't have a process for doing this. Basically, what I like to do is I like to start with the logo of the airline itself, and I'll scale it up, scale it down, or place it or whatever, and I'll just create layers of them in various sizes in the background, adjusting the opacity, changing or playing with the blending modes, and just running through them until I can find a pattern that looks good. And I like bold, contrasty colors, so I'll put blocks of color over top of those shapes, then I'll just run through all the blending modes again, just to see if there's anything that just pops. And basically, I'm here to admit that all of the background illustrations that I've ever done on any of my airline renderings, they've all been happy accidents. I had every single one of them. I have no clue what they're going to look like when I start. I just think that, okay, I'm just going to test and tweak and see what I can come up with. I mean, I don't have any idea what they're going to look like when I start. And usually these take about anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to do. And they're extremely frustrating because maybe the first 75% of my time trying to create these is extremely frustrating, because I'm angry at myself that I can't come up with something that I like. But I usually end up with something that I do like. It takes about, like I said, 30 minutes to an hour, and I could do it. And it's not an exciting thing to watch. As you can see, I'm just copying shapes, pasting shapes, duplicating shapes, running through blending modes, and actually I'm adjusting the shadows on the aircraft itself here just to make it a little bit more punchy, give it a little bit more contrast so it pops off the background. And I think I'm almost there with the background. I love those hard angles. I knew I was onto something here, and if memory serves me right, that wasn't the final version. I don't know. We'll see when we get to the end here. But now I'm just adding a reflection on the floor, adding a shadow on the floor to give the aircraft something to sit on, adding a drop shadow, and I'm going to blur this out in a second. Add some blur. Yeah, you don't even see it in the final rendering, but it's kind of cool. And yep, my assumption was correct. I went back into that background because I wasn't quite happy with it. I wanted to get that pink in there somehow. That pink is such a strong accent color. It's such a nice color, and I was really fighting to get that. And you know, I'm just going through the blending modes. I like the shapes that I have, and just trying to get that in there. And I think I remember what I did now is that I think I like those shapes in the background, and I think I gave up on that pink. I like the gray or the silver color, and I think that worked for me. And actually, I like that now. I do kind of wish I would have got that pink in there. That was a really nice accent color. It may have been too distracting. I think that's why I decided not to do that. But yeah, as you can see, this is just about done, and yeah, that's it. One of my favorite renderings, one of my favorite liveries. And as always, if you have any questions, do let me know down in the comment section below. Oh, and also, if you want to get my high-resolution source files for these templates, if you want a big discount on that, sign up for my email newsletter, link in the description below, and you're going to get 50% off your entire first order. Whatever you order, no matter the amount, you're going to get 50% off, and it's a good way to get started with my templates. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.